Whose baby is that? I have azoospermia, you know? My husband shouted that at me just after I gave birth. Not understanding what was going on, I became flustered, but the nurse intervened. Please, don't give excessive stress to a woman after giving birth. I also think it's strange for someone to claim to have azoospermia right after childbirth. My name is Eve. I'm a 30-year-old office worker. It's been 4 years since I married my husband, Chris. We were leading a fairly happy married life. We both work and have stable income, and we share many hobbies and enjoy spending time together. However, there was one problem. We couldn't get pregnant. We wanted a child early on because my mother-in-law was urging us to have one. Whenever I visited my in-laws, my mother-in-law always talked about it, pressuring me.
Eve, are you close to having a child yet? The daughter of our neighbor had a baby boy last week, you know. We're really in trouble if you don't have a child soon.
I'm sorry, we're trying though. My mother-in-law gave me a scary look every time and glared at me. My father-in-law would stop her, but the pressure from my mother-in-law was quite heavy for me. I'm trying hard and even searched for information on the internet, but I couldn't get pregnant yet.
You are really a useless daughter-in-law, you know that?
My mother-in-law always berated me like that. I think part of the reason why it was difficult for me to get pregnant was because of the pressure from my mother-in-law.
It is about time you try infertility treatment, don't you think?
One day, my husband Chris said that to me. What do you mean I try? Don't talk like it's my fault.
But I know for sure that I'm not the cause of infertility.
What? That's ridiculous. First of all, why don't you get tested for infidelity too? It's not fair to just make me go through tests and treatments alone.
Why? I don't need it. I know for sure that I'm perfectly fine.
Despite my doubts about his behavior, I had been thinking that maybe there was a problem with one of us since we had been married for 3 years without any children. Still, my mother-in-law's excessive pressure and my husband's attitude remained the same. As my anxiety about whether or not I was infertile grew day by day, I became mentally overwhelmed. Then it happened. What? Is it true?
Yes, congratulations. You're pregnant.
My period had been unusually delayed, so I went to the OBGYN thinking maybe I was pregnant. Then the doctor told me that I was pregnant. At first, I couldn't believe it, but the test results clearly showed that I was carrying a life inside me. I felt an enormous sense of joy that I had never experienced in these past few years. And I immediately told my husband. At first, he was shocked, but he quickly became overjoyed.
Really? Well done, Eve.
Let's tell my parents right away. His smile and kind words increased my happiness. And as I expected, my mother-in-law were overjoyed when we went to tell them about my pregnancy.
Congratulations, Eve.
Be sure to eat nutritious food and stay healthy. If you have anything difficult or need help, don't hesitate to tell me. I felt really happy hearing these kind words from my mother-in-law, almost like it was the first time since we got married. My father-in-law was always a kind person, but when we announced the pregnancy, he was even more sweet than usual.
I'm sure a healthy child will be born. You've gone through a lot. I'm so happy to be able to see my grandchild's face.
I was happy to receive such positive reactions from my in-laws. I imagine they will be even kinder to me when the baby is born. I secretly hoped for this. In reality, my husband and mother-in-law were both incredibly kind to me since they found out about the pregnancy, almost like they were different people.
You don't have to do the dishes, Eve. I'll do it, so take the break. Thank you, honey. That helps. And make sure to take maternity leave early. And don't put too much strain on your body, okay?
Normally, my husband doesn't do much around the house. But now he's taken the initiative to help. And my mother-in-law even makes me lunch every day, which always surprises me. She has truly become a different person, being so kind to me. I was a bit confused by the change in my husband and mother-in-law's behavior, but there were many other difficult parts of my first pregnancy. I was grateful for their support and spent the pregnancy period with gratitude. I lost my mother 10 years ago and can't go back home to stay. My father never did any housework and left everything to my mother. For some reason, my mother loved my father so much that she worried about his life more than mine until the end. So even if I were to go back home, I would end up doing housework and wouldn't be able to relax. That's why it's so helpful that my mother-in-law does the housework and goes shopping for me. From then on, I made steady progress in preparing for the birth, and my morning sickness also started to subside. You're going to give birth soon, aren't you? Your husband and everyone else is looking forward to it, right? Yeah, they are. But their expectations are so high. Almost feels scary, you know. I'm still happy though. Oh yeah? Anyway, I'm happy that I can be involved in your childbirth as a nurse. I've been friends with Kat, a nurse, since high school, so I've been coming to this maternity hospital because of her. Having a trusted friend around for my first childbirth makes me feel at ease. Unlike before my pregnancy, I've built a good relationship with my in-laws. And I envisioned that I would continue to lead happy days after childbirth. However, my expectations would soon be shattered. The day finally came when I had labor pains. I immediately called my husband, but he didn't answer. Maybe because he was busy at work. I had told him that the due date was soon, so why wasn't he answering? I also called my mother-in-law, but she didn't answer either. What was happening with the two of them? Despite feeling uneasy, I reluctantly called a taxi and headed to the hospital enduring the pain of labor. When I arrived at the hospital, Kat rushed to my side. Are you okay? Take a deep breath and relax. I'm here for you. Don't worry, the doctor is also here. Let's give birth to a healthy baby. I was able to relax a little bit thanks to Kat. I didn't have time to contact my husband or mother-in-law anymore, and I went straight into the delivery room. After 4 hours later, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. She was so cute. Even though I was exhausted from my first childbirth, I was moved by seeing my child for the first time. This was my child, and I thought she was the most beautiful thing in the world. I lifted her up, and I felt the greatest happiness I could imagine. It was at the highest of this happiness that my husband and mother-in-law arrived at the hospital room. Chris, you finally came. I feel relieved after seeing my husband's and mother-in-law's faces. I don't know why I couldn't get in touch with them, but I'm glad they came. The baby is so cute. Here, hold her. But even though I said that, my husband and mother-in-law didn't try to get close to the baby. What's wrong? When I asked that, my husband looked at me with contemptuous eyes and made a shocking statement. Whose baby is this? What? What are you talking about? Of course it's your child. I have azoospermia. What? What does that mean? My husband's sudden words left me confused just after I gave birth. That means you must have cheated on me to have a child, right? After all, a child can't be born from me since I have azoospermia. My husband yelled at me with incomprehensible words, and my mother-in-law joined in and blamed me. I knew it.
You really are a terrible wife. I can't believe you would use my precious son like that. Wait a minute, please.
What are you talking about? I don't understand. I was confused. And then Kat intervened. Hey, what are you guys doing? This is a hospital. Please be quiet.
Don't interfere. We're just trying to expose this woman's evil deeds.
My mother-in-law and husband tried to drive Kat away, but Kat didn't budge an inch. Please, don't give excessive stress to women after birth. Whatever the circumstances, how would you take responsibility if she were to lose her life by pushing her like that? Kat's words made the two of them a little shaken.
Who are you anyway? What are you saying?
Many women are prone to postpartum depression immediately after childbirth. We have a duty to protect women after childbirth. If you continue to cause her stress, you will have to leave from here. Besides, it's suspicious that you are claiming to have azoospermia right after childbirth, isn't it? Are you trying to lie about it and falsely accuse her here? Kat's words made my husband and mother-in-law extremely agitated.
It can't be true. That's right. How can you, a nurse, say such a thing?
I'm saying it because I'm a nurse. If you were truly azoospermic, wouldn't you have claimed that it wasn't your child when you found out she was pregnant?
Well...
My husband and mother-in-law stumbled over their words. In any case, would it be a clear indication of something fishy if you were trying to make advantage of this immediate postpartum period?
That's not true. Yeah. What are you even saying?
Well then, how about DNA test?
DNA test?
Yes. If you are infertile, a DNA test will prove that it's not your child. At that moment, my husband and mother-in-law had lost their momentum.
Anyway, this is not my child. I'm going to sue for compensation for the affair and won't acknowledge the child either.
I was too tired from childbirth to think straight through this sudden turn of events. Kat continued to take care of the situation for me. When claiming compensation for damages, isn't DNA test required?
What do you think?
In any case, it would cause her a lot of stress. So, please leave for now. When Kat firmly stated this, my husband and mother-in-law reluctantly agreed and left. After confirming that the two had left, Kat apologized to me. I'm sorry, Eve. I spoke out of turn.
No, it's okay. I appreciate it, really. It was reassuring.
Also, I think you were right. I'm sure he's having an affair. I'm convinced of it today. I'll investigate properly and fight back. Yes, I'll help in any way I can. Now, let's take it easy and rest. Yeah, thanks. I truly thought it was good to have chosen the clinic where Kat worked. After that, I ate a nutritious meal at the hospital and got better quickly. Then, as soon as I was discharged, I asked the detective agency to investigate my husband's infidelity. I didn't feel very excited until the investigation results came out, but I went home to my parents' house. Dad, it's been a while.
Oh, Eve, welcome home. It must have been tough to give birth. Well done. Sorry I couldn't go to the hospital because of work.
No, it's okay. To be honest, I had never really liked my father since I was a child. He was always a quiet person, and I never knew what he was thinking. But now that his first grandchild was born, I thought I should at least show him my daughter's face. In any case, I didn't want to go back to my in-laws. After that, I spent time with my daughter and father in my hometown. while waiting for the detective agency's investigation results. I consulted with a lawyer and prepared to fight back at any time. In the midst of all this, my husband and mother-in-law suddenly came to my parents' house.
Well, what seems to be the problem?
My father remained calm, even when the two of them came. Rather, I don't think he understands why the two of them came, because I didn't explain it properly.
Hi, it's been a while, but your daughter is having an affair. I have azoospermia, so there is no way I could have children. But she insisted that it was my child. I wouldn't demand compensation if she agrees to a fair division of property.
My father looked at my husband skeptically, who was weaving such groundless lies. I was momentally worried that my father may side with my husband and mother-in-law because he is an old-fashioned person. Then my father said,
"Please leave."
"Huh?"
"My daughter would never do such a thing. Please, leave now."
"Hey, did you listen to what I just said?
I have azoospermia, so it's strange that Eve got pregnant. Then, why not do a DNA test? I think it's strange to claim that you can't have children without showing any evidence. I'm trying to settle this peacefully. Can you see that?"
My father may have been unable to control himself. He ended up glaring at my husband and mother-in-law with an angry expression.
"This is not a place for liars like you to come."
Scared by my father's outburst, my husband and mother-in-law quickly fled from the place. "Dad, thank you for protecting me."
"Don't worry about it. I just don't like noisy situations."
"Do you believe in me?"
"Of course, you're my daughter. You're such a good-natured kid, so there's no way you would do something like that."
I couldn't stop crying at my father's unexpected words. I was so happy that he believed in me unconditionally. It was the moment when the wall I had created towards my father disappeared all at once. Afterwards, the investigation by a private investigator revealed that my husband was having an affair. I filed for divorce and demanded compensation through a lawyer, and even had a DNA test conducted on my husband. At first, my husband resisted, but my father-in-law, who had heard about it, forced him to undergo the test. It was confirmed that my child was undoubtedly my husband's. It turned out that my husband had claimed to have azoospermia and was trying to divorce me on the grounds of my fault, and was planning to be with his mistress. The compensation was surprisingly high because the contents of his lies were malicious. I was grateful to have as much money as possible to raise my child. My husband was disowned by his father due to this incident, and his father apparently divorced his mother and kicked her out of the house. Seems like he had been considering divorce due to her lack of consideration and selfish personality. My father-in-law told me that this incident was the trigger for him to finally take the step towards divorce. My ex-husband had apparently been supporting his mother, who had moved in with him and was heavily in debt. He had been dumped by his mistress early on because of the whole situation. But he still had to continue paying off the debts, and now he was living a poor life while being mentally exhausted. On the other hand, I returned to my parents' house and raised my daughter while living with my father. As I got to know my father's personality better, I completely lost the feeling of being uncomfortable around him. My father, who I thought was quiet and demeaning, was actually a person who just had a strong sense of justice and trusted his family. Seeing my father smiling while playing with his granddaughter naturally makes me smile to my ears. Surely, my mother in heaven is also watching over us as we face our life's turning points. Kat comes to visit me regularly, and we help each other as the best friends. I think I will continue to live with the support of the people around me. In order to repay their kindness and raise my daughter well, I will work hard.